Hi, this is Damon Stevens with the Fin Wealth Builders. Today is Monday, May 10th, 2021. And if you have not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe so you can continue to get these updates. So looking at the market today, you can see that the Dow Jones was down 0.1%, the Nasdaq was down 2.55%, and the S&P 500 was down 1.04%. So definitely a red day. You can see that mostly it was in the technology, communications, and consumer cyclicals, and a little bit of the finance. It looks like healthcare and consumer defense, energy, some of the others held up a lot better than the technology and communication areas. So this is our little heat map that kind of gives us an idea of where money is moving in and where it's moving out. As far as our top picks today, it was IHT, PTIX, which we did not trade, TGLS, and OBLN. So we'll take a look at least one of those and let you know kind of how we traded that today. Maybe I'll give you ideas as far as what you may have either traded today or maybe an idea of maybe some trading in the future. So let's go ahead and get into it. Again, earnings calendar. This is earnings week again. And we had some major players reporting today: Workhorse, the Trade Desk, Novax, Roblox, Marriott, Wynn, Duke Energy, and several others. And so we'll take a look at a couple of those as well. Coming up tomorrow, before the open, we have Palantir, which is very popular right now amongst a lot of traders. Fubo, Lemonade, and Open Door, and several others. So just keep an eye on that. This is opportunities to either possibly find some buy the dip buying or to kind of evaluate where your trades are at if you're in any of these companies. So let's just kind of recap. So we were all red today, but if you look at the earnings report, and I'll just do a refresh here, you can still see that we are beating 1,451 companies against 344. So again, earnings continue to be positive, even though we had a down day today, and we'll get more into that in the stocks as we get into it. So if you look at the trade desk, so let's look at this one. So this one, wow, what a sell-off. One of the rumors or one of the things I've heard this stock called is the rich investor stock, because it just ramped up pretty quick, just over a short time, clear up to 972.80 where it peaked out. And you see that was back towards the end of December of 2020. And since then, just if you take that and move that into 5 months later, where we're at today, you can see, especially today, we had a huge drop. So we're sitting at 489.60 from a high of 972.80. So you can see this stock just really ramped up quick and is now settling back down again. You can see that it just broke below the 100, broke the 50 today, broke under the 100, and just settled just below it. So something to be aware of. We do have a little bit of a gap here too, just something to keep an eye on that we may go fill again later on. But we'll see first kind of where the stock's going. With the momentum that it had today and the much of selling it had, it's possible it could come down to this 200 at 330. That's quite a big gap here between 489 and 330. But there's not a lot of support right now. It's sitting right where it broke out. So if it gets below that line and is not able to bounce back and possibly retrace this and maybe even fill that gap in the next several days, if it breaks below this, it could come down and back down to this 200. So it's a long way down. So if you're in this stock, just something to have awareness around and probably keep an eye on. If you're looking at an opportunity to buy into a dip, a sell-off from 972 down to 330 is substantial, right? That's 2/3. So a possible opportunity to get in here, but definitely look at the company and its holdings and where it's headed in the marketplace before you invest. So just an idea. It could go back up to the 50 and get some strength and head back north, and also could break down to 330. Marriott's another one that reported, and you can see that Marriott is kind of, if you see it, kind of broke out here, came down and dipped and touched the 20, went back up, came back down and touched the 50 right along the same line here. And then it came back up and came back down and touched it just in between the 50 and the 100 right here. And they came back up. And now we're back testing again on that same line. So that should create some level of support for this stock to possibly bounce off of. If not, you can see right below you have the 50 or the 100 here, and you can see that there's a gap that was left clear back here back in February that may get filled. So it may decide to fill that gap before maybe bouncing off and coming back higher. Or there could be a sell-off if the market does downturn, and it could come back down here to this next little breakout section down here around 129.60, or back down to this 200 at 128.38. But you can see this big red bar. So there was a lot of sellers today in the stock, and that was after earnings too. So if you go to our small caps that we had, IHT was probably the best trade today. You can see that it back on the 7th is when it first kind of climbed up to $6, and then it kind of pulled back and it kind of settled for a few days, and then ramped right back up again to that $6 range. Today it tried to break out. You can see that it almost went up to about 676. I thought it was going to probably try to hit that 7 mark, but it didn't, and then it pulled back. So there was a trade in here. It was really quick. If you've been monitoring this stock, then maybe you caught some of that, or maybe you've been holding it. But it was really flat until this point today, last few days. So definitely something we're going to continue watching. See if we can break out to some new highs here before slowing back down. It is far extended off the 5 EMA, so just be aware of that. The 20s clear back down here at 386. Could it come back to the 200? It's possible. So 259, if it did, it'd be right back flat again. Right now with the momentum that's in there and the volumes, there might be a few more days on this if this can continue to ride. So definitely an opportunity. That was on the 1 hour chart. This is on the 5-minute chart. So this is where you can kind of see, where you had possible entries in here. So you can see that that it broke out here. So you could have got in possibly around 409. You might have got here at 515. Once you got up to this level here, you can see that it just kind of consolidated, and we're kind of in this consolidation channel right now between $6 and 676. So it's going to have to break above that 676 to hopefully ramp up to $7 or higher. If it doesn't hold this line, it could come back down to this 20 here at $5 and get some strength to possibly pull back up, or it could retrace back down to flat level too. So just kind of depends what the market does and the volume and the price action of this stock. So this is another one that I'm definitely going to keep an eye on. OCGN, that was on our list a few days ago. It provided a great trade. I mean, this it just like clear from $3 clear up to 16 is just amazing. And then it dipped down. You had another buy-in that you could have picked up, from $6 to 14. And then it just kind of have settled down for several days. And then here on the 26th, you had another pop up and a few more opportunities to get in. You can see just a nice bullish move up here, back up to that 16 level. Same thing, it was back here in February. So we hit that mark again. It failed to break out as it did here, where it pulled back again for this next time, and it came back down, clear almost down to the 100 before finding strength and popping back up above the 50 and now closing above the 20. So this again, I'm hoping this continues to provide some great trades. I mean, these are more probably scalping or day trades than you're going to find long term, but that's kind of up to you as far as how you want to trade this, or if you want to trade it at all. But as long as this continues to create some momentum there, I think there's some great buying opportunities for day traders and scalpers for sure. So the dollar index, you can see the dollar kind of is like flat down here around the 90 level. So we're continuing to be flat here. You did have this, breakdown here, this long candle here, and we're kind of consolidated right here on a flat. So that helps the market, typically to stay stable. Market did pull back today, even though the dollar was flat. So definitely probably not a big influence from the dollar today. You look at the VIX, which is the opposite of the S&P 500 index, and you see that we have a big long bar where it just really climbed today. So we were clear down here at the low of 1730, came up to a high of 1970. So that's why the market kind of sold off. This kind of shows that, and you can see that it's above the 100 now, and now you see the other moving averages starting to curve up. So we could hold that. We could come right back down. You can see that on these retracements, sometimes we retrace the entire day, the following day, or retrace about 50%. So we'll see if we retrace down here again. If we do, we might see a little pop in it. It's Tuesday, and typically, they say turnaround Tuesday. Tuesday, the market usually moves, a lot of times in the opposite direction it did on Monday. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But just something to be aware of. If it does start to become positive tomorrow, just keep an eye on this candle, because it may retrace that entire candle like it did here, where you see the VIX pulling back down. You see it here, it retraced back here, and again back here, and again it took a few days here. So you can see that as it has that parabolic move up, a lot of times it's going to retrace back down, and a lot of times it was the next day. So just something to be aware of. It doesn't mean it will do that, but something to be aware of. And if it does continue to go up and it gets above this 20 mark, then watch out, because the market might start to pull back. And if you get up to this 200 and we start to go positive, market's definitely going to have a big sell-off. So just got to monitor where the VIX is at, and as long as it's below the 20, we should be in good shape to be able to recover, pop back up. If it gets above 20, starts to hold on a daily close, we're coming down. So something to be aware of. So the SPY, you can see the SPY pull back down. It's back in this, it's still in this channel. So it closed, just below the 5, but above the 10. So, it's still in a bullish format here. It really didn't pull back, large enough to say, hey, there's a correction going on, because we're still very bullish. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see if we stay in this channel. If we start to break down, if we do, it could come back to this 20 at 415. Could come down to 411 as well. If we start to break the 411, where they start to break up here, then you start to come back down to where we possibly could come down to 404, or we could try to fill this gap here left open, which could pulse clear back down to around 400. Or, we could go to new highs if we hold this up. We've done this several times, so it's a possibility. So just something to keep an eye on as we move forward. Q's probably sold off the most today. I mean, look at this breakdown bar. So it's below the moving averages all the way through the 50. We did stop here on a line of support, which we had in the past. So there was some support here, but there's this little gap that got left open back here in the 1st of April, and it didn't quite fill that today. I thought for sure maybe it was going to fill that gap, and then maybe we could bounce off. We'll see. I mean, if it holds here and it doesn't fill that gap, it could bounce off that. If it does fill this gap, it could possibly decide to go down and fill this other gap, which is, finishes down here around 320, and then find some support on the 100. If the market didn't want to decide to sell off, it could possibly go lower, but there is a lot of support down here. So we'll see what happens, but definitely has some momentum here. And some volume coming in. So just something to be aware of is we could have a breakdown, but we're not there yet. But we definitely need to get back above the 50 if we want to stay bullish on the triple Qs in Nasdaq. So on the semiconductor space, which is also technology, you can see here that we have the same big long breakdown candle just below the 100. So hopefully we can bounce off of that. If not, the 200 is clear down here at 213, so it's a long ways down. So we'll see if we can hold this and bounce back up on turnaround Tuesday and the next few days. Try to get her back above these moving averages. If not, there could be additional downside there. Russell 2000 IWM index. It looks more like if I drag this bar down here, down to support, and you see it had support back here a few places, and you have this top line here, you can see that maybe this is just a back and forth, right? As long as we can hold, above 219 and not break back down. I mean, we are below the 50, and here's the 100 clear down here at 213.19. So it's quite a ways down. It's possible it could come down there since we're below the 50 now, but hopefully it finds support and bounces back up. Or maybe it'll just stay in a channel here back and forth until it gets strength to try to break up. But that's definitely something to keep an eye on because we are below the main moving averages here, the 5, the 10, and the 20. On gold continues to be positive. So you can see here that it's kind of in this little channel, this really tight channel, around 830 to 845. And so we'll see if it can hold that. Pretty flat today, not a lot of movement. It is above the 5, extended above the 5, so it could come back and revisit that in this little channel here if it breaks down. Right now, I'm still very bullish on gold. Silver, again, is in a channel as well. Not a lot of movement, not a lot of volume, but you can see that that we're holding above the 5. And so we'll see what that does. This is the 4th day. So we'll see how that does, see if we can start to get momentum to push up, or if we're just going to kind of, if we don't get a lot of volume, we might just kind of sit here for a little bit, consolidating. Bitcoin had a down day. Still in this channel. You can see all this movement here within this channel. And so it just continues to ride in here, looking for direction. Came down, dipped down here around the 55,000 range. And then it also came up to as high as almost 60,000. So it's struggling to try to find movement here. It's right sitting around 55,200 now. So we'll see what happens. It's below the moving averages, the 5, the 10, and the 20. And here's the 50 right here. So it's right on the 50 right now. So we'll see tonight as far as how it does in the morning. If it can find some support, bounce up, great. It can go back towards that 60,000. If it breaks down below the 55,000, it might come down around 52, or down here to the 100. That's around 5,600. So Ethereum Classic. So this was a great trade the other day, as this kind of exploded. We had this little parabolic move through a few days ago. You can see that we're kind of consolidating down, kind of went flat, and then we kind of broke down. And it tried to dip back down here to this little support level around 90, but then it kind of pulled back and recovered a little bit. Still below the 20 though, so that makes me a little concerned that we could have a breakdown. If it can get some support and some energy, which you can see the low volume down here, we could pop back up and head back towards 141. 69. If not, and we break down here, we could start to go back down here and possibly visit the 50 around 80, or down to the 100 around 60. So about $20 a shot if we break down, or $20 to the upside as well if we can continue to move up above 120. So we'll see what happens with Doge. So the weekend was interesting. So we had Elon on TV. And pretty much around that, we sold off, and apparently there was a lot of news and a lot of out there that said, hey, sell Doge and get out of it. I got out at 71 just because I know that it was like a lot of hype. So I got 71. It wasn't the top that I got out because it got up to as high as almost 74. So I left some profit there, but I was just trying to be safe, got out. And then I was going to get back in at 50 and saw this drop down here. I missed the dip here as it came back down, but got back in at 50. It went up to 57, started to break down, so I got back out and just kind of been out trying to wait to see kind of where it settles in, because I didn't know for sure if we might possibly drop down to maybe around 35, 40 to 35. So we got close to that 40 mark and bounced off. It may continue. It might just explode and go higher, but I got in, I was in lower 20s, and so I just want to protect all those profits, up here around 70, figuring that we could pull back. So I'm watching the charts. Right now we're below the moving averages here, around below the 5 and the 20 and the 50. And here's a 100. We just dipped below that. We're above it now. We're right at the 5. If we can hold that, I might buy back in and start to ride this up. I mean, it could leave me behind, but we'll see. We'll see. Right now, I see this little channel here that's come in, and it's kind of riding up here, up and down through here. So we'll see if it kind of break up and go up, but before, unless it gets above this 55, 57 level, I don't think it's going to break back up towards the 70 level. So I'm just kind of keep an eye on that for now, see what happens, and put my money in other cryptos that are moving. Okay, so let's hit a couple stocks. So CAT. CAT I've been watching. I've had this before a couple times. I get in. Usually it's only been a day trade or maybe a couple day trade, swing trade. But you see back here, this is where I was kind of looking at this, where you had a good support level here around this 194 before it kind of broke up, and you see that it's been just really climbing, a nice steady climb up. So looks like it might be a good opportunity to go to new highs. I was planning on going to 260. Don't know if it's going to make it there, but it kind of was flat today, and a little negative volume coming in, not a lot of volume at all. So just kind of watching this one to see if there's a little bit more upside to CAT. I don't think it's from a news standpoint or revenue or anything like that it's driving it, but I look at the daily range, and I just think there's maybe some movement here, a little bit of a space here, but we'll see. It is extended from the 5, so just something to keep an eye on. I don't know if you're in this or not, but it is extended as well, reaching the newer highs here, so it could pull back. If it does pull back, it's going to come down to 220, probably around 216, find support hopefully down there, or if not, possibly down at this breakdown area or breakup area where it kind of broke up at 194. So we'll kind of monitor that one and see what we can do with it. Tesla, I've been kind of sitting on the sidelines. I was waiting for it to find support. It hasn't found it yet. So I'm just kind of watching it for a re-entry back in. You can see that today that it was a big down day, and we dropped down. We're at 629 right now. I was thinking if it's hit 629, it's going to hit at least 622, probably down to maybe 600, and if not, it could come down to the 200 at around the 580 mark to find support. If it doesn't, it's probably going to come down here to 540. So we'll see what happens with Tesla over the next few days. If the market can pull back, maybe Tesla gives you a little bit, but it's below these moving averages. So that kind of gives me an idea that it might be a little bearish for now. It may come down. You can see these prior lows. So we may come back and visit those over this 200 before we can find some support. Volume's been pretty consistent. And but it is low. We don't have these little spikes. So if I see some spikes coming in, then, you'll let me know what direction going, either back up, north, or if it's going to come down south here. We'll see. But another one I'm just kind of watching, keep an eye on. This was one of my favorites. Done really well in the past, but it's just kind of been slow here. But I know there's some opportunities here in the future. So just watching this one real close. Let me close out these. And so that's pretty much it. So, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our channel, FinWealth Live, where we can bring you daily updates on how the market's doing, provide you some trading ideas and some technical analysis to hopefully help you with your trading. Everybody have a great night.